Hey guys, Magnus here, bringing you actually a really different video today for you guys. I thought, because I'm a massive fan of Marvel, and I was going to do this on my older channel a while back, and I planned it and everything. And basically, I've rewatched every single Marvel movie that, anything that's basically any Marvel based, Marvel comic based movie, so something that's based off a Marvel comic. So this includes all studios, it's not just strictly Marvel. And I've watched all of them apart from the original Captain America serials, because honestly I can't find all of them, and they're just to the point where it's just awful. But I have watched some of the chapters of that serial, but honestly it would be at the bottom of my list. But basically I'm listing these to worst, from the worst to the best. So it's going to be quite a long video, so bear with me. My very, very worst one, I've actually put the unreleased Fantastic Four. Now, one of the reasons is because, yes, it's unreleased, but you can watch this one on YouTube. Just search it up, just search unreleased Fantastic Four movie. But it's absolutely appalling. It's got some really bad jokes, really awful acting. The props look like they've been bought from Jesus, I don't know. And it was built in. I mean, it was made in 1994, so it's not like effects were really that limited. Anyway, so the second worst one is, or the next one is Captain America 1990. Honestly, didn't like this one either. Again, really cheesy effects, really cheesy stuff. Acting was not good at all. Yes, I've put that in this here. So the third worst is it's actually Elektra. Now this is the sequel to the Daredevil movies. This was like an Elektra spin-off, and it's a prime example of Marvel screwing up with spin-offs. And I don't think it was 20th Century Fox. I'm pretty sure Daredevil was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. I'm not too sure, but don't quote me on that. Yeah, it was 20th Century Fox, it's an example of them screwing up. They basically failed a bit on the Daredevil movie. Well, they didn't do as well as they could have on the Daredevil, so they tried to pump out something new with Elektra. The story was awful. Honestly, didn't like it. Next on my list is Ghost Rider. I've always been a massive Ghost Rider comic fan, but I've never liked the movies. I think Nicolas Cage just does not fit superheroes. Ghost Rider, honestly, I thought the movie adaptation wasn't all that good. Personally, I don't know why. I just, for some reason, I find it a challenge for me to watch Ghost Rider. So the next one is actually Howard the Duck. The reason it's actually even this high, and I was actually considering putting it higher, is it's just a fun example of Marvel. Now the problem with it, comparing it to other superheroes, is Howard the Duck is not a superhero. You got to put that into consideration. But it was honestly a really fun movie, and I think it was actually good. The problem with it is, again, it's really ridiculous. The story's so stupid and so out of it. But that's one of the reasons I love it. But I couldn't put it any higher, because I don't think it doesn't deserve to go any higher than the other movies. So the next movie I put is Ghost Rider 2. I actually could bear this one. I thought it was actually pretty decent. This movie. I thought the story was a bit weak, but I actually found myself enjoying this one quite a bit. So I've put it here. Still, I was considering putting it higher, but I think it deserves its place here. So the next one is Spider-Man 3. This was an example of Sony just making all the wrong decisions. They put so many villains into this movie. It didn't work. They put Venom. What else did they put? They put Venom, Green Goblin, the second Green Goblin, and they also put Sandman, didn't they? Or was that? No, it wasn't Sandman. Was it Sandman? I don't even know. But yeah, they put too many villains in it. I know that. It was Sandman. They put too many villains in it. The next movie I put is the second Punisher. Now, people are going to hate me for this, but I honestly think the first one's a lot better. Now, everyone hates the first Punisher, and when I say the first Punisher, I'm talking about the one that was released in '89. This one, the one I'm talking about now, is the one that was released in 2004 by Lionsgate Entertainment. But honestly, I thought that this movie was okay. It was meh, but I didn't think it was all around that great. I thought it was a bit cheesy, and I wasn't too happy with the story. The next one I've put is Blade Trinity. I love the Blade movies. I think that this one though, it ruined the Blade franchise. It was kind of that, like, you know, like last movie. The third one's always the worst kind of thing. And they just tried to be funny in this movie, and it just didn't. It wasn't funny. You know, Blade's not a movie which should. I mean, well, they added all these new characters, obviously all the other characters, those new ones, because I haven't really read the comics, the Blade comics, but I love the movies, Wesley Snipes, and I think that Wesley Snipes is the only one who should make jokes, but they try to make the other characters seem funny, and I didn't like that. I honestly didn't like the general story as a whole. So the next one on my list is Hulk, Ang Lee's Hulk. Again, this was awful. The effects were awful, let's be honest. The story was awful, to be honest. And honestly, again, it's another example of them screwing up. I mean, the Hulk it's a big green guy, so it's hard, you know, with CGI to actually fit it and make it perfect, but they didn't. I mean, the effects weren't great, but the story could have been decent. Honestly, I like the first half of the movie. The second half is what really ruined it for me. But anyway, moving on. X-Men Last Stand is next. Again, this is another one of the examples of the third one ruining the franchise. Now, because it was Brett Ratner who directed this one, he basically decided to ruin everything. He butchered the Phoenix Saga, he got rid of that, and he basically, you know, killed Professor X, he depowered Magneto, depowered Mystique, he pretty much ruined it all, and he killed, obviously, the Phoenix, Jean Grey. Ruined the whole franchise, ruined everything. They couldn't do anything after that, and he named it The Last Stand, and yeah, it didn't really work out very well, that movie, and I honestly didn't like it. I mean, I actually liked The Last Battle in a way, but I just didn't like how it ruined the story. The next one I'm going to put is Punisher Warzone. Again, another example of the third one being the worst. Punisher Warzone, I honestly thought that this was just overkill. They just did too many effects, too much violence, too much stuff overall, and not enough storytelling, not enough character development with the Punisher, and they just made him seem just like an asshole, really. And I know he kind of is, but this one made him really seem like an asshole. And then the next one is The Incredible Hulk. I'm not a fan of the Hulk movies that much. I mean, I like the character, and I liked what they did with him in Age of Ultron. But yeah, I didn't like what they. I just didn't. I mean, this movie was alright. They did some good stuff with it, but yeah, that's why it's not too high. But I honestly, I didn't like it all around that much. The next one I've put is Man-Thing. Now, Man-Thing is probably doesn't. No one really knows that this is actually a Marvel movie, but it is actually based off a Marvel comic called Man-Thing. Don't get it confused with Swamp Thing from DC though. Yeah, Man-Thing. Honestly, I think it's a decent, scary kind of movie. That's scary because basically what Man-Thing is, he's just like, it's Mother Nature taking its revenge on humans. So in a way, Man-Thing is the bad guy. But there again, people argue that, wait a minute, but is Man-Thing really the bad guy? Because it's the reason that Man-Thing is created is because humans are destroying the Earth so much. And yeah, I mean, I think it was a decent scary movie, so that's why I'm going to put it this high. It wasn't great. I mean, it wasn't like 10 out of 10 kind of thing, but it was actually, I thought it was okay. The effects were a bit bad, but what are you going to do? It's a movie that was made in 2005. I mean, fair enough. That's 10 years ago then. But okay, moving up. The next one is The Wolverine, just The Wolverine. Honestly, there was a lot of story development which I liked about Wolverine's character, but honestly, this is one where I usually complain about not enough action. I usually complain about too much action even, but this is one I'm actually going to complain that there's not enough action. There's not enough action, there's not enough interesting plots, and honestly, it's a bit bland overall. So yeah, moving on, the next one we have is Fantastic Four. So yeah, Fantastic Four honestly is it was the start of them trying something new, I suppose, and honestly, it was quite family. It was like a family-friendly movie. I feel, they did a decent job on it. It started the thing off, but it wasn't amazing. Next on the list is 4-2. I honestly thought this was just a cheesy kind of. The only reason they made this is to lead up to the Avengers Age of Ultron. I didn't like it. Honestly, I hated 4-2. I hate 4's character, to be honest with you. It's a character I don't particularly like. I don't know why, I just don't like him. But 4-2, yeah, I'm going to have to say it's not. I wasn't too happy with it. The next movie I'm going to put, and people are absolutely going to hate me for this, is the first Punisher movie. Now, this is my personal list, so I'm going to put what I want, where I want. But the next one I'm going to put is the Punisher, the very first one. I really liked it. Now, the reason I like it is, first of all, you got to take into consideration it's an 80s movie, so it's not going to be amazing. It's not going to have the same effects as the Avengers. So I took that into consideration to start off. I thought the story was done perfectly. The characters were done perfectly. I think the effects were meh. It's the 80s, but I honestly thought they were still pretty cool. The character itself was badass. They didn't overkill it like Warzone, and they didn't make it too boring like number 2. They really did it really good, and I liked it. I really did. So I've got to put it here. The next one I'm going to do is the First Class, X-Men First Class. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of this because it's like an origin story. Well, I like origin stories, but I didn't like this origin story. I thought Professor X, Magneto, they're kind of like the father figures of, you know, the good X-Men and the bad X, or the good mutants and the bad mutants. Honestly, I wasn't too big of a fan. I liked the little cameos with other X-Men characters from the past, but yeah, I wish that I just didn't like it for some reason. Didn't like it. I preferred it to. Obviously, preferred it to Last Stand, but it was alright. The next one I'm going to put on is Fantastic Four Silver Surfer. This was much better. It was a greater attempt at actually capturing the characters. Some great moments in this. I really liked how they did the Silver Surfer. It was done really well. Overall, great, loved it, amazing. Moving on is Amazing Spider-Man 2. Talking about amazing stuff. This wasn't too amazing, but yeah, honestly, a lot of people criticize this movie because apparently it's an example of Sony making the exact same mistakes they made with Spider-Man 3. But I think they had 3 villains in it, and although I hated the last scene with Rhino and the fact that they kind of made it look like, they made it like about to, like, it basically looks like an amazing battle's gonna happen, but then it doesn't. And even though they did that, and it really pissed me off because I just kind of thought, well, we can't really use Rhino anymore, surely, because they've kind of done that. I think it did. It had the Goblin, Green Goblin, and it also had shit, I forgot. Electro, sorry. Magneto. It had Electro. And honestly, I think they did it okay. I liked how they teamed up, and honestly, overall, I thought it was decent. It was done quite well. I didn't like how they killed Gwen, but whatever. The next one I'm actually going to put on is the sequel to Blade. Yeah. Now, the reason I'm putting it quite low, in my personal opinion, I'm putting this low. Some people are saying I'm putting it too high, but yeah, I thought that the story for this was a tad weak. The acting was great and the lines were funny as hell, but I just think that compared to the others, it's not as good. It's not as strong. So I had to put it lower. So the next one I put is 4. Now this one was one I actually liked. I actually didn't, for some reason, I prefer 4's role in this movie than he is in the Avengers. Like, I don't like him in the Avengers, but I thought that this movie was actually pretty decent. They did a good start to 4, and I know I hate the character, but I thought it was still a decent movie. The only reason I'm putting it a bit higher is I've taken the fact that I still like Loki. I love Loki. I don't like 4. It's a bit weird. Don't ask me. Just do. So the next one I'm going to put on my list is next ranking is Daredevil. Yeah. So honestly, everyone butchers this movie, but I think it's great. I think it's a great movie. It's an example of it's a strong story. It's decent characters, and I honestly think they did it pretty well. I don't know why everyone criticizes it so much. I mean, I know it's not good compared to other movies, and they did it a bit weird, but I think they did start it decent. I just wish they did a sequel, a really decent sequel, instead of that Electra bullshit. The next one I'm going to put on the list is Spider-Man 2. Always been a fan of Spider-Man, but a fan of the first 2 anyway. Big fan of the first 2. The second one was really good. Some great storytelling, some great. We got to see Dr. Octopus. Some just general great stuff. It was a great sequel to the first one, and it was an example of Sony actually doing something good for a change. And yeah, I liked it. The next one I'm going to put on the list is Captain America 1, the very first one. Now, everyone, I honestly, I think Captain America is like that character where I'm like, okay, yeah, he's alright. You know, I don't think he's like amazing, I don't think he's awful. He's just like a bit like Marmite. No, it's not like Marmite. It's a bit like, I don't know. I can't think of anything, but yeah. I mean, yeah, it was a decent movie, decent stuff. It was a cool little introduction to Captain America and his character, and it, you know, a decent lead up to the Avengers, and obviously because he's like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that, and it kind of laid out that universe quite well, and yeah, I thought it was decent. So the next one I'm going to put on my list is The Amazing Spider-Man 1. Yeah, it's a reboot, and I know it's weird how Sony do reboots. They did a reboot, even though like the Spider-Man's genre has only just begun yet, and they did a remake. Whatever. But it was a decent attempt, and it looked like they were actually trying to fix it finally, and they were going a different way with story, and they were doing something different, and it was something new, and it looked pretty fresh, and I liked what they were about, or at least I thought I liked what they were going to do. It ruined it a tad with Spider-Man 2. I don't think it was awful, but you know, Spider-Man 1, it was okay. So the next one I'm going to put on my list is Iron Man 3. And by the way, the reason I have put it higher than The Amazing Spider-Man 1, higher than Spider-Man 2, is just because I feel, I don't know, it's just something about it feels more modern. And I don't know why, I just prefer it. It's really weird. Amazing. So the next one is Iron Man 3 even. Yeah, it's amazing. Iron Man 3. Okay, yeah, a great movie. They did some great stuff with it. It was kind of cool to see all of his different suits, some great character stuff. You know, it was a decent, again, another lead up to Age of Ultron, and you know, it was all right. I'm not a fan of them making too many movies. I think at number 3, that's when they should really, unless it's like, you know, it's one about one character, and this is about one character, I really think they should stop. But because obviously it leads on to the Avengers, that they can do this. I think that Avengers is a movie they can do quite a lot about, because there's a lot of characters in it. Again, with X-Men, they can do a lot of movies. But Iron Man, I think it's one character at the end of the day. I know there's other characters involved, but I feel they should really stop at 2 or 3. They shouldn't do too many, otherwise it drags on. But I think 3 was actually a really good. Which is really good. So the next one I'm going to put, and again, people are going to hate me for this, is X-Men Origins Wolverine. Now, the reason I have this so high is I know that people say it's awful. I know that people say it's like, it's so bad because it doesn't, you know, I don't really know actually fully why everyone thinks it's awful. But I think it's a really good storytelling movie to to show who Wolverine is and how he got his powers and all that, and it's a really good explanation. I think it's badass as hell. The first scene where it was X-Force and they all went into that thing to get the whatever it was, and they went, you know, and you saw. I know the one reason people hate it is because they ruined Deadpool, but you basically see human Deadpool go in and he just like, you know, with his sword wielding, and he just it was cool. I know it butchered some characters, it ruined some characters, and they randomly added Will.i.am in there, but I liked it. So the next one I'm going to put is Iron Man 2. Again, it was a decent sequel to Iron Man. Pretty good. I liked it. Some good story stuff. Iron Man's character. I like Iron Man's character. It was all around. I liked it. Not really much more to say. And the next one on the list is actually Iron Man 1. Surprisingly, so I put this here because honestly, I liked Iron Man 1 as well. I mean, I think it's the best one out of the 3. It is a really good movie. It introduces the characters so perfectly. Again, it tells the characters so perfectly. The acting's great, the effects are great, everything's great in it. Really amazing movie. So yeah, just 10 out of 10. By the way, we're in the top 9 now. Iron Man 1 was number 10. So yeah, this is number 9. So number 9 is the very first Spider-Man. Great, amazing. This was nominated for 2 Oscars, I'm pretty sure. It was an amazing movie. Really good introduction to the Spider-Man's character. You know, he's that kind of that main one. When people think of Marvel, they often think of Spider-Man, just because he's like that really famous superhero. And yeah, I thought it was great. It was a really good movie, great introduction to the character. But yeah, people can hate the fact that I've only put it as number 9. But yeah, number 8 is Blade. Now, honestly, Blade is a really good movie. People are gonna hate me for this, I know, but I really think it's a great movie. I think the story is great. The character is just so cool. Wesley Snipes does a really good job. It can be funny at times. At the same time, it can be really serious. It's kind of a bit darker, but it's just a really good idea for a story. And it's really different. And it's not really a superhero movie, but at the same time, I just love it. Great storytelling, and overall just really good movie. Great quality, it's filmed great, and it's the kind of one that started Marvel out. It started Marvel creating these really good movies, and it kind of started the superhero genre from branching out into movies. And I know there were ones before it, but they weren't as popular. So what are we on now? 10, 8, 9, 8, yeah, we're on 7. Number 7 is X-Men, the very original X-Men. I think, again, another great example of an introduction to a group of characters, and it was a really good movie. I think they set it out really well. I know they did the bland kind of Magneto villain, but they did it really well. They didn't butcher him, they didn't kill him, so it wasn't bad, but it was a great introduction to the X-Men story, and honestly a great movie overall, and it was a really enjoyable movie, one I've watched a couple of times over. The next one is the newer one. It's Captain America 2. Well, hey, Captain America 2. This was amazing, really good movie. It was exciting, it was fast-paced, and they did a lot with Nick Fury at the same time, as well as Captain America. We had Black Widow in there as well. Obviously, they were in the previous ones as well, but this was the one where they really focused on all three of those characters, and they did some brilliant stuff. It was great to see, Hydra basically take over, and I loved it. I loved it overall, and it was just so cool fighting scene. Not too much stuff, but not still pretty, some decent stuff. So I can't even think what number we're on now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're on 5. Number 5 is Avengers: Age of Ultron, the newest one on this list. So by the way, this is the list is Age of Ultron is the newest Marvel movie that's out. Age of Ultron is here. Honestly, it was a good movie. It was great. I think they did too much effects though. Too much. And it wasn't as good as the first one. I think the story was a bit too much. They tried to focus on too many characters, but at the same time, they focused on the Hulk. They focused on Black Widow a lot. Well, not a lot, but they focused on the Hulk a lot for a start. Black Widow they did quite a few, and Hawkeye they did quite a bit. And the fact that those three don't have their own movies at the minute, so it's good they focus on those characters instead of focusing on Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America, who already have their story. We already know their story, and I'm glad they did that. That's one of the reasons I love Avengers: Age of Ultron. They introduced three cool characters. They introduced Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and the Vision. Really three cool characters at the same time. They had Ultron as well, who was really cool at the same time. And overall, brilliant movie. Loved it. But just didn't quite do it. Wasn't as quite as good as the other three I've put on this list. So number 4 is X-Men: Days of Future Past. Great movie. Awesome. It fixed the X-Men. Right, this is the thing I take into consideration. It's the movie that fixed the franchise. It fixed it back. It basically deleted The Last Stand, which was really funny. It basically also kind of deleted Wolverine Origins in a way, I suppose. But it was a really fun example of what X-Men can do, and it's the most recent X-Men one, and honestly, the story was great. It was such a cool movie. They introduced Quicksilver, a lot like Age of Ultron. They had Quicksilver. He just kind of made the movie. That scene, when he did slow motion, was so funny. They added comedy, and overall, it was just another great example of 20th Century Fox doing it good. And number 3 is actually X-Men 2. X2. This is a great movie. Honestly, I've watched this movie so many times over. Really good stories, really good characters. I don't know why I love the X-Men. It's just a group of characters, but none of them really have their standalone movies apart from Wolverine, obviously. But they really did it well. They made the story so good, and the story. I know I'm kind of waffling on it at the minute, but the story was really good. The characters were great developed. They introduced Beast. They introduced Nighthawk. Nightcrawler. And honestly, great movie. Overall, brilliant movie. I'm sorry, I'm saying brilliant movie, but whatever. So now we are on the top 2. So number 2 is the Avengers, the very first one. So yeah, again, so they basically they brought all the characters together. They had obviously Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Hulk, Hawkeye, and Thor, and they brought them all together, and they thought, you know, let's fight some shit. And basically, there was the Tesseract thing where Loki opened up. Opened up a portal, I suppose, and loads of aliens invaded. I think they were aliens, or what they got. I don't even fucking know, to be honest with you. But they came in and they invaded Earth, and it was basically just a big team up of all the characters. Basically made us know that they are all in the same universe. I know we already knew before that, but and it was just a great team up, a great movie, great story, great. There was comedy, there was all that other stuff. It was really good. It was a great movie, amazing movie. Nothing much more to say. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So now we have our big one. Let's do that drum roll. That's not really a good drum roll, but you probably know it's Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, again, people are going to hate me there. I put this above the Avengers. Now, the reason I put this above the Avengers is, first of all, it's a comic that no one's ever heard of. You know, when Marvel was first starting off, no one would ever have thought of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I don't know, honestly. And so that's why I like it, first of all, because it's a comic which is yeah, not that popular. It wasn't that all around that popular, and they basically decided, yeah, let's make this into a movie. They kind of taken a risk in a way. They were thinking, you know, we need something new. We can't just do Avengers stuff. So they decided to put this out, and it was so good. It was funny. It was a great story. It was, I don't know, it was really good for character development. Dude, I just enjoyed every minute of it. Even down to the end credit scene with Howard the goddamn dog. You know, it was amazing. Everything in it was great. Groot, funny as hell. You know, Vin Diesel does a great thing, and honestly, brilliant. I loved Groot. Rocket, again, another funny as hell character, hilarious. Really, I mean, I was pissing myself through the whole movie. It was mainly Rocket and Groot who did it. You know, Star-Lord or Peter Quill, again, funny, cool. The music, again, another thing I need to mention about Guardians of the Galaxy, the music's amazing, the soundtrack's great, it goes really well with the movie. You have Gamora, again, really funny, you know, sexy kind of alien character, I suppose, whatever. And then you have, oh shit, I forgot his name. Drax, that's it, Drax. Drax, again, really cool, badass character. They didn't, I mean, he wasn't really that big in the movie, but whatever. Overall, yeah, funny as hell, great movie, the best that Marvel's taken out so far. And if anyone wants to really take me on that, judge me on that, then go ahead. But I mean, I can't say that it's, I just loved it. I mean, there wasn't a dull moment in it. So yeah, that's it for the list, guys. So obviously, just to go over my top 10, I suppose. Actually, I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to bother. I just. Right. Anyway, so just wanted to quickly mention, obviously, first of all, that's my movies. Please tell me your list. Maybe tell me your top 5 or your top 10. That would be cool to see. Sorry, it's been long and boring. I hope you like the gameplay in the background. I hope you like the pictures and all the good stuff. So obviously, in 2015, the Avengers is just out, so Ant-Man isn't quite out yet, so that's the reason Ant-Man isn't on the list, or the Fantastic Four reboot, or Deadpool, or any of that other movies that are coming out soon. But I shall be doing a video talking about all the movies that are coming out, all the Marvel movies that are coming out, and kind of doing just a list of which ones I'm more excited for. I really want to do more of these kind of movies and TV show topics, because movies and TV shows for me are like a big part. I mean, I watch loads of stuff like that, you know, I watch loads of TV shows, and I watch loads of movies, and I kind of want to just talk about them a lot more, and also have gameplay in the background, so it's also related to gameplay. So anyway, like I said, guys, tell me your thoughts on your list, and yeah, overall, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you made it. I'm sorry, so it's a big half an hour video, but yeah, so yeah, goodbye.